letters, it looks silly without letters.
You do, I think you need the letters, just shove it along a little bit.
Okay, so we move down.
We're going to have the letters.
Yep.
Only having a break. I have been working.
Shot in here, right? Take the sides out.
Look with it.
Look, that's what we're going to do.
In the air, yeah?
I don't think this will hold that though.
No, I don't. Will mine reach on you? Reach? Yeah.
No.
There's a bit. That's a lot larger than yours now, all the cables off it. Ooh.
There's a dozen down the road. We're not all going to be here tomorrow.
I don't see that bit across there. Well, in fact, no, after two. I don't think go out there.
We're going to put it on this.
His daughter's coming. Yes, Richardson. They got married on that already.
And the know-how, these old boys are soon at that.
Definitely nearly the same height there.
Nearly, but not.
Close, you're about...
Cheers up. Bottoms up.
Right. It's fitting all three of you in.
We'll stand closer, look. Do. Take another
Steady.
He does come.
I would expect them. It is just a point of the bed.
It was cold.
Saying it was me.
Really like a girl.
I got a good bruise for it. It wasn't me.
So how long have you been involved? I only joined the club.
I think I'll go back.
Go, go, go!
That feels like someone sticking pins in my entire body.
Go a little bit more formal, do a few words, receive some gifts, and essentially say thank you to everyone that's been involved.
Yes, yes, yes.
That was unexpected. We've got about 80 people here today, and it's just fantastic to see such a good turnout from everyone that's been involved in the building of the hut. And I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to the people that have made today such a lovely event. I think that particular thanks needs to go to people like Phil Bailey, Mike Yard for the video that he did, and also to Nick Smythe for making contact with so many people so we can all come together today. Today isn't so much about one day though, it's about the last 50 years. I think anyone that's seen the videos inside today and all the pictures understands now how much sheer labour and graft went into building this hut. It's done us well, it's been here for over 50 years, and that's what we've come together to celebrate today. We also want to make the most of it for the next 50 years. So I hope that the founder members here and the people that were involved in the building of this can see that we're looking after it and that we can make the most of it for the next generation as well.
You are.
Yeah.
You are.
Hope to be here in 50 years.
We look down on you.
Let's ask Annie, will you be here in 50 years' time? I'll be 126. She'll be 61.
I think we also need to give particular thanks to our local friends as well, who have helped make this event a success today, to Heth and to Shan for giving us access, providing the Overspill car park, and essentially helping us make such a success of today. I don't know if any of you have actually looked inside the signing in book, which we've got inside. 80 people here today. I work out that's probably about 10% of the people that make use of this every year. We've got a huge following now. We use school groups here, we have other clubs, so it's a very active, positive part of our club. And I think the general feeling is that what we've been given for the last 50 years has actually held us together as a club. There have been some times in the past when we've potentially have folded, but the hut has kept us all together, and that's what we want to hope to maintain for the future as well. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. You've seen this gentleman standing here. This is Dave Turnbull, who's the CEO of the British Mountaineering Council, the body that we're affiliated to. And he has got a reasonable reason for being here. He's got quite a decent CV, believe it or not. First ascent of Gojung in West Nepal, over 6,000 metres, and apparently climbs a little bit. Trad up to E6, is it? Around there. Winter up to grade 6, sport 7C. So I'm going to hand over to Dave to make a few words for us. Thank you.
must say, I feel a little bit intimidated here because I think the last time you had a BMC kind of bod here was back in the 50s when Jack Longman came and was he here at the official opening of the hut?
Yes.
The photographs. So I'm sorry I haven't got the tweed jacket and the tie. I'm not quite as distinguished looking, but this is the modern look of the BMC anyway. But I mean, actually, I don't really know this club very well, but I've stayed here. I've stayed here twice, two weekends, about 20 years ago with Zoe Cockshot, Peter's daughter, and a group of us who we knew from Plymouth. I was in the same year as Zoe at Plymouth, so she dragged us up here with a group, and so I've done Will-o'-the-Wisp and I've done quite a bit of walking around here, but I've literally never been back here for 20 years. So kind of when I got this invite, and I mean Phil got his invites in really early. It's like a year ago. It's really hard to say no when they come a year. Good planning that. I thought, well, to be honest, we don't really. The BMC doesn't really get invited to many of these kind of things, or we don't end up doing many of these things. So I kind of wanted to come because I knew the place and I thought it'd be nice too. But I started asking around the office, what people knew about Stafford, because I've never been to Stafford in my life. And the only thing of interest I managed to find was that Clona, who works in our membership services team in the office, went to school with Ozzy Osbourne's stepson from his first marriage in Stafford. So I bet you did. Who knew that? That's the only interesting thing I could find, I'm afraid. But I've kind of I've done a little bit of research. I've read the historic document about the club online. It turns out I met Larry Lamb quite a few times via other BMC business, and I've met Gareth again today, and remembering him. Yeah. I always remember, Larry from BMC meeting was always quite a sort of vocal, forthright character. And to be honest, I had no idea that he was involved with the very early days of the hut here. And I was in the pub in Llanberis last night, and I was telling there's a guy called Andy Newton who lives in Llanberis. You might know him. He's a kind of senior instructor, and he used to chair the BMC's committee for Wales. And I happened to mention to him that I was coming here today, and his face kind of dropped. He said that he chaired the BMC for Wales in the late 80s and 90s, and he said every single meeting for 5 years, the access in this area at the hut used to come up because there was obviously a big issue at the time, and relations with the local landowning fraternities really good now as far as I can understand. But obviously things have come on a long time since then, a long way since then. I think the BMC's kind of involvement with this place, I believe, goes back kind of well beyond that. Yeah. I see from the records that Dave Adcock wrote 1,400 letters to various people, including solicitors, the BMC, the local parish, etc., etc., etc. And, yeah, I'm glad he wasn't on email, so I like this. There's several people involved with the BMC now who would probably give him a good match, I would imagine. And they tend to be the kind of people who gravitate to the BMC and end up sending me stuff down the line. I'm also sorry that I couldn't manage to. I was going to try and bring an 8-ounce block of lard today as well, but I couldn't. I was actually got delayed at Dramatic. And for those who aren't laughing, that means you haven't read your own document, because the kit list, the food list, wasn't it, for a group of 10 people to come here in the 50s or 60s, included an 8-ounce block of lard. Which I don't even know whether you can buy it these days. I was going to try and bring it as a joke, but I couldn't find it, I'm afraid. This is just a few words about what the kind of BMC does for clubs these days. Up until about 2006, the clubs had what they call the block vote in the BMC. So a club rep could turn up at the BMC AGM, and if the club had 1,000 members, that person had 1,000 votes at the AGM. So the clubs were obviously massively influential and controlled the whole organisation. And that changed, I think it was 2006. Mark Vallance, who was the president at the time, kind of introduced this one person, one vote system over a couple of years. It was seen as the right thing to do. But and some of the clubs, I think, at that time felt that they'd lost some of their influence within the organisation, because all of a sudden it's, in order to get their 1,000 votes, they had to get 1,000 people at the meeting, and obviously that's never going to happen. So, but in actual fact, the clubs are still really, really, really influential, more than anything else within the BMC, because if the BMC doesn't keep the clubs happy, it makes my life impossible, it makes the staff's life impossible. We have to do the right thing for the clubs, as far as I'm concerned, because that is, that is the kind of bottom line in terms of the smooth running of the operation. And obviously the clubs keep the sport alive in many ways. Sport inverted commas. They keep mountaineering alive, and the clubs are aging. In terms of the age profile of many of the clubs, is people. It's more difficult, I think, than in the past, certainly for some clubs, to get younger people in. There's a fair number here. That's great to see.
Yeah.
And I think some clubs are more active than others in doing that. And the more active you can be, the more likely that you are to sustain places like this in the future. And we're doing quite a bit in the office to try and help that along, to encourage people to make the transition from indoor climbing into the outdoors, and from general kind of interest in mountaineering into clubs, because as far as we're concerned, that's the way people end up staying within the activity. Once you get into a club, meet networks of friends, you're much more likely to stay within the sport. And there's also, for the last 4 or 5 years, we've run a grant scheme for clubs. I can't remember whether you've actually had any yourselves, but we offer small grants for clubs for building websites, newsletters, instructor support for helping clubs bring on new members, and also for providing equipment as well. We've got a bit more money left for that. I think it's about 8,000 quid a year. We get it via the government.
For that.
You what? You can, yeah. So, I mean, it's an open application process, and to be honest, it's not oversubscribed. And so, if you make it's not a very difficult application process either. It's fairly straightforward to get 200 to 500 quid for small pieces of work, or you need 10 new helmets or whatever it happens to be. New roof. Well, we do have a loan scheme for loaning money to clubs, which it's on preferential terms for clubs, but we don't offer grants to clubs. It's talked about every now and again, but that's not there at the moment. But I think there are other means that other clubs have gone by via the lottery and certain pots of money, and have managed to get decent amounts of money for HUDs. And that's probably kind of all I wanted to say, really. Many thanks for inviting me here. It's great to meet you all and see you all. I see there's a few faces I recognise. And anything you need from the BMC, you know who I am now. I've got a yellow T-shirt on. And, my email address is there on the system. So many thanks. And I've just got a small presentation to make to somebody in the club. I'm not sure who. Which is I guess it's for the HUD, but it's John Griffiths' Alpine Exposures book, and John's friend happens to be Yuli Steck, so it's signed by Yuli Steck, with a little note from me and signed by John Griffiths as well. So maybe that's something that can be kept in the HUD for.
Thank you, David.
I have 4 BMC T-shirts here, which the idea was to give to kind of 4 younger club members to selflessly promote the BMC. have a nice T-shirt as well.
Well, shall we take them off?
So thanks very much for having me, and I'm here to have a chat. I'm here for the night. Taking the red lion.
Okay, we've got another presentation as well. So we have a lovely old ice axe, which is exactly 50 years old, which the BMC has owned. We'll be getting a little bit of an engraving put onto it to say thank you very much, celebration of the HUT's 50th, and this will go up in Bryn, Hafod.
Cool.
Good.
Nice.
Just like the one I took to the Alps in, I can't remember when. It's identical. In fact, I'm looking for the name.
Okay, as the final part of this section, we've got a presentation from Tony Boyden, and if possible please, could Stuart Taylor and Mike Yarn come forward to receive this?
Sorry about the condition. I'm Tony Boyden, and I've been associated with Stafford since 1969 when I took over a photography studio vacated by Mr. George Pringle. I don't know whether you've heard of him. It was on the Lichfield Road and White Lion Street corner. Opposite me was Atwood's Garage, and to my right was the White Lion pub. Next to me was a vet, and then there was the Dirty Duck pub, and a Ready Fusion shop. Some people may think that's where you eat, but no, it was for radios and TVs. But I retired here some 10 years ago, and I was walking over yonder a couple of years ago, and I took a photograph, and I thought I'd be honoured if you would, oops, sorry. I'd be honoured if you would accept it as a gift from me.
Thank you so much.
Pardon my voice. Presented to the Mountain Club by Tony Boyden on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the opening of Bryn, Hafod, 12th of September 2015.
Very appreciative of this wonderful pour out and party generally. May I ask you to be upstanding and raise your glasses to Phil, the committee and all the helpers.
Well done, Phil.
Cheers, Phil.
Listen, you're all my mates, so there's very little to say other than that 13 years ago in this very room I made a speech at the 50th anniversary of the club. And it basically, I was the hut warden then, and there was about thanks to the hut warden, and I stood up and said the best times, having listened to the speeches, have come when we had a good team in the club. And I just reiterate that tonight. We have a good team. We couldn't have done this without a good team. So it's everybody pushing in the same direction. You've all experienced it. We've experienced it this week. So thank you, everybody.